What's going on, everyone? It's Chef, and welcome to episode 4 of the Dark Souls 3 build series. Today we're taking a look at a poison build of mine. From what I understand, poison does not have such a good reputation for its prowess in PvP. From the brief amount of research that I did, the consensus seems to be that DS2 got poison right, but DS3 it's near useless. I can't really speak to that since I've never played DS2, but what I can say about the build is that it's pushed me towards thinking that poison is actually underrated. Some gameplay first, and then I'll explain a bit more about the details of the build. Welcome back. Now that you have an idea of how the build works, let's take a look at the equipment. There are two key elements of the build, the rotten Gru Spear and the rotten Gru Shield. Both of these actually do apply poison, and rotten pine resin can be applied to the spear for increased ease of poison application. For the rings, I decided to run with Ring of Favor, Chloranthy, Prisoner's Chain, and Sun Princess. I chose armor with a poison themed build in mind and settled on the Ring Knighthood, Armor of Thorns, Gauntlets of Thorns, and Iron Dragonslayer leggings. Shiv is making an appearance like always, and I even threw on the Moundmaker's Covenant ring for that purple glow while in the arena. Pretty fitting for a poison build. As for the build theory and how I thought it would all come together, there are just a few simple aspects involved. Of course, we have the spear being the main tool to apply the poison status effect, and I found that it was very easy to do this when combined with the rotten pine resin. I don't think there was a single match in which I finished an opponent that hadn't already been poisoned. Once poisoned, the damage over time is incredibly slow. I think that's the main reason that poison goes underused, since it's difficult to see the value in such a small amount of DPS, but what I found is that you really don't need it to do much damage at all. Poison isn't meant to take a big chunk out of the opponent's health bar. What it's meant to do is amp up the pressure on them once they're low, force them to fumble for a purple moss clump, or even just actually be that last bit of damage you need to fully finish someone. I really thought that the majority of people would have purple moss clumps at the ready, but honestly, it was very rare that someone actually cleared the poison off. You can help prevent this by staying as close to the opponent as you can, and continue to pressure them as much as possible. Armor of Thorns offers a bit extra chip damage, while honestly feeling a bit cheesy, but I literally accidentally got a kill with this at some point, so you can't call it useless. I always like to have a few different elements going on with a build to make things a bit more interesting, so in the offhand I'm using the Rotten Gru Shield. Surprisingly, this thing actually applies poison and has a large amount of frames in the weapon art in which the block is active. People on the wiki really give this thing a hard time, but I actually found it useful for mixing up my playstyle and landing extra hits. For the majority of time I was testing and playing with the build, I didn't even have the thing fully upgraded, so that just goes further to show it's actually pretty decent. The weapon art of the spear is another element of versatility in the build. It's great for wake-ups and can kind of force a different playstyle when you switch to two-handing it. Here's the leveling I went with for this build. Not really anything special, balance of luck, dex, and strength for the poison buildup and raw damage, and then just whatever I was comfortable with for vigor, endurance, and vitality. Overall, what I found with poison is that applying it quickly isn't important at all. As long as it's applied before you straight up kill the opponent normally, it's going to do its job. So this build could definitely be further optimized around that idea. For a how-to on the build, once you're in the arena, you have a bit of a priority list, starting with the spear. First thing to do is get your buff active, and then the simple double light attack combo is what you should look to go for to get that poison buildup going. It's got good range, which can certainly be made use of with spacing, and the running attack is also pretty rangy, although it does whiff on occasion to the sides, so it's more consistent when someone is running away rather than strafing. If I have a decent bit of HP left when the opponent is low, I'll usually switch to two-handing the spear and look to punish panic rolling as that poison ticks away. It's also a good way to punish a purple moss clump if you end up too far away. Some players get a feeling of urgency once they're poisoned, and instead of rolling away in a panic and going for the moss clump, they'll simply try to finish you off first. And I'll say it, at that point, the match is basically yours. All you have to do is play passive and wait for that poison to keep ticking, play it safe, try not to panic roll, and make use of that shield too, since those block frames really do make for super safe attacks. I went into the creation of this build thinking it was going to be pretty bad. If you watched the last episode, you'll know I mentioned that bleed is probably one of the best status effects, but that it doesn't have much to compete against. And while my bleed build was more of a meme than actually intended to be good, this build truly did just feel so much stronger. Arena matches went super easily, and I hardly found myself losing ever really. The spear, while prone to being parried, still felt super versatile, and the shield offered some mix-up potential that I found really useful. I'll say it again, however controversial, poison is underrated. Like always, I'd love to hear your thoughts about the build, and if you have any suggestions on what I should try out next, leave it down below as well. The link to the last episode is in the description if you want to check out the bleed build. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you next time.